Over the last few months, I've made a couple videos about professional soccer in the state of Michigan. I first put out a video about Michigan Stars FC and about how they began back in 1984 and about how they play in a small village of just about 4,000 people. I also recently made a video about Detroit City FC and their nearly 100-year-old stadium, Keyworth Stadium, and their short history and their rambunctious fans. But I bet most of you soccer fans didn't know that there's actually a third professional soccer team in the state of Michigan and in the city of Detroit. So today, I'm going to tell you a little story that begins over in Andorra and has to do with Champions League football and the Motor City. Today, I'm going to tell you about Detroit Gold Star FC. So the story of Detroit Gold Star FC doesn't actually begin in the Motor City. It begins 10,000 miles across the Atlantic Ocean in a small mountainous landlocked country named Andorra, which is sandwiched right in between Spain and France in the Pyrenees Mountains. And the story really begins back in 1986 when a small club by the name of FC Santa Coloma was formed right outside the parish of Andorra la Vella, which is the capital of Andorra. They would go on to become the most successful team in the country of Andorra with 13 league titles, which is the Primera Divisional, and 10 cups, which is the Copa Constitucional. They actually have quite a few unique achievements for an Andorra club. So they are the first Andorran team to win a match in Europe. They're also the first Andorran team to not concede a goal. And they became the first Andorran team to win multiple two-legged affairs in Europe. And that actually just happened this season. They have some very big wins in their history too. They've actually beaten Maccabi Tel Aviv, who's probably the best team from Israel. And this year, when they achieved their two-legged successes, they beat Pennybont of Wales 3-1 on aggregate. And then, I'm going to absolutely butcher this name, they beat a team from Montenegro called Susjeka Nikšić. They beat them 3-2 on aggregate. They ended up then losing in the third qualifying round to AZ Alkmaar of the Netherlands, but they only lost that 3-0. So for being such a small team from a small country, they're actually a giant within Andorra, but a minnow within the European game. So you might be asking, what does that have to do with Detroit Gold Star? In 2022, they were bought by Gold Star Sports Management Group, which is led by a Ukrainian-American entrepreneur named Daniel Milstein. And they decided to open up a club here in Metro Detroit called Detroit Gold Star. And their first season would be in 2022 in the third tier of American soccer called the NISA, the National Independent Soccer Association. And they would join up with their fellow in-state rivals Michigan Stars FC and would play at Madonna University in Livonia, Michigan. The city of Livonia is located 20 miles northwest of Detroit. With a population of 95,000 people, it makes it Michigan's 10th largest city. And Madonna University, where Detroit Gold Star plays, is a private Roman Catholic university that was founded back in 1937. Just to give you guys an idea of how small the country of Andorra is, Detroit Gold Star FC plays in Livonia, which is the 10th biggest city in the state of Michigan, and its population is 95,000. Andorra, their population is only 79,000. So about 15,000 more people just in a Metro Detroit, small city compared to an entire country in Europe. It's pretty crazy. So this is the little stadium that Detroit Gold Star plays at. They also share it with Madonna University's soccer teams and lacrosse teams. As you can see right there, Madonna University, and that's their little mascot, the Crusaders. There were also rumors that there was going to be a 5,000 seat soccer specific stadium built here on the campus for Detroit Gold Star and for their soccer teams. Unfortunately, scouring the campus, though, I haven't been able to find any construction sites, so I don't really know what's going on with that, unfortunately, at the moment. And as I walk this dew-ridden field, as you can see, let me tell you guys a little bit about some highlights that happened in Detroit Gold Star's first season. Their very first game came on April 1st, 2023, and they played Chattanooga FC at Finley Stadium down in Chattanooga, and they would end up losing 3-0. Their next game would actually be their first Lamar Hunt U.S. Open Cup match, and they would play inner-city rival Detroit City FC at Keyworth Stadium, and they lost that game 1-0. And their first win actually would come in their third game when they would play against the Savannah Clovers, and they would win 1-0. Not only was that their first win, it was also their first road win and also their first shutout. Their first home game wouldn't be until June 24th, in which they would end up winning 2-0 over the Maryland Bobcats. But after that game and after that date, they wouldn't win a single game for the rest of the season. And they would end up finishing in last place with just 3 wins. Out of 24 games, they would finish on 12 points with 3 wins, 3 draws, and 18 losses, with a -22 goal differential. However, with their not so good first season, they would win their first ever trophy. On September 16th, they played at their second home, which is Schoolcraft College, just up the road here. And they took home their first trophy in the final for the Midwest region of the NISA Independent Cup with a 4-0 win over Peak 11 FC, who traveled from Boulder, Colorado. Their main rivals are interstate rivals Michigan Stars. They played them 4 times this year. They didn't come away with a win in any of the matches. They lost their first game 2-1 on April 14th. They lost their second game to them 3-2. They would pick up their very first points against them on August 4th when they tied them 0-0. But then in the last matchup of the season against them, they lost 4-2 again. So those are some highlights from their very first season. So it's pretty unique when you think about the 3 professional soccer teams that are in the state of Michigan. Not a single one of them play in the MLS, which is the top tier, but one of them, Michigan Stars FC, is essentially a village team that plays in a town of just 4,000 people. Detroit City FC plays in a stadium that's nearly 100 years old in a neighborhood that looks like you're right in the middle of England. And then you got Detroit Gold Star FC, who is essentially a feeder club for the best soccer club from Andorra, which regularly plays in Europe. So when you think about the soccer scene here in Michigan, it's pretty cool and pretty unique with the 3 teams.